After decades of marriage, Susan discovered her husband Michael was having an affair with a woman in her early 20s.
Leave me for her.
He said, admitting he had gotten his mistress pregnant.
You can have custody of our daughters.
When I shared the news with my daughters, Emily and Sarah, they concocted a plan. I agreed to go along with it. Just don't expect to find happiness from this. My name is Susan. I'm a 47-year-old office worker. My husband Michael and have been together for what seems like forever and have been blessed with 3 wonderful daughters. I have 3 daughters who are in college, high school, and middle school, and we are a very close family. I never put my career on hold after they came into our lives. I pushed on, climbed the ladder, and am now in a management position, which I am very proud of. Recently, Michael also became a manager. This was a milestone that filled our home with a festive atmosphere. We decided to have a small party. I didn't do anything extravagant, but just to stop and enjoy the happiness of my small but wonderful family. As the girls grow up and move on with their lives, Michael and I will be able to spend a little more our time. One evening, over a casual dinner, Michael had the idea of going on a trip, just the 2 of them. It's been about 20 years since we did something like this.
That's right. Let's make a plan. Think about where you want to go.
Okay. Now that my daughters are older, we can spend time together at home.
It's true. Let's leave the housework to you and enjoy your time together as a couple.
The thought of being able to go on an adventure alone with Michael after all these years filled me with indescribable joy. Even though we have spent so many years together, I could feel that he valued our time together. We were relatively close, and on our days off we would go shopping at the supermarket, take walks, and spend time together. However, because I have daughters, I couldn't really go on a trip. Also, I was happy because I had no idea that my husband was thinking about going on a trip. The next day, on my way home from work, I went to a bookstore and bought a book about the travel destinations I wanted to go to. I was waiting excitedly because I wanted to talk to her husband, but he never came home. I haven't received any contact from her, so when I asked her daughters if they had contacted her, she said she didn't know. Then, no matter how long I waited, my husband never came home. It wasn't until the date changed that the front door finally opened. Welcome back. Are you okay?
Yeah.
I was waiting to talk about my travels. I bought a book, so let's read it together. Even if I try to talk cheerfully to him, he doesn't respond at all. I was confused and didn't know what was going on. And what Head said after this threw me into hell.
I'm sorry. I was having an affair.
What?
I'm so sorry. I know saying sorry won't solve anything, but I truly regret it.
Despite his repeated apologies, a chasm of betrayal opened between us and engulfed my ability to fully understand the situation. Are you kidding me? We were planning a trip together. We have 3 daughters. You came home every night.
I'm not kidding. I'm really sorry. But this is the hard truth.
This can't be happening. I don't want to believe it. Oh. Are you sick? People make up stories of illness to keep their loved ones away, right? It's okay. No matter what, I'm here, I said, desperately clinging to another explanation for his actions. With a deep sigh, Michael further reveals.
I'm sorry. This relationship has been going on for a year. She's from work. We went on vacation together and spent many days out and about. I'm attracted to younger women. I did.
My heart feels like it's being torn at the seams.
Anyway, there's no going back now. I want a divorce,
he declares, as if the memories and love we've shared over the years can be so easily thrown away. We were happy forever and believed we would spend the rest of our lives together. Yet here we are, talking about infidelity and divorce as if they were everyday occurrences. Divorce? What do you mean? Let me understand. My mind demands this as it struggles to understand the reality of the situation. Surprised that I didn't accept his decision right away, Michael further explained.
You may not understand, but I cheated on you. I wanted to be with her more than you.
He continues with details of the incident. The woman in question is a young colleague in her early 20s who joined his company as a temporary employee. He became her boss and mentored her, and over time the two grew closer. After her coaching period ended, she invited him out for dinner, and their relationship began to develop.
I feel that my career and my life have improved since I met her. I'm sorry, but I believe she is my soulmate.
Oh my God! He has somehow forgotten that he is in front of me, or perhaps he is speaking with a calm expression on his face.
I want to protect my pure and innocent girlfriend.
What about me? Our daughters? Didn't we live to protect us?
You earn more than enough. You can do without me.
That's not true. It is true that I am promoted faster and receive a higher salary than my husband. But that doesn't matter. Living without him seemed unthinkable, and my children felt the same way. However, when he resisted, he was told a shocking truth.
And she's pregnant.
I felt like I had been shot in the head. Pregnant? What do you mean? Are you really having an affair? I was so overwhelmed I couldn't process anything.
You have custody of the child. So let's get a divorce.
I was furious that he seemed to think that giving him custody would solve everything. What are you talking about? This is not an easy matter. Do you really think you can announce an affair and propose a divorce like that? What do you think our marriage is?
Listen, we're waiting for a new life. I can't live with you anymore.
We need to talk about that includes the person who having an affair with.
If you agree to divorce, I'll talk to you. I brought the divorce papers, so you can ask me to sign them.
He said this before leaving. I was stunned by everything. I couldn't sleep that night and couldn't concentrate at work the next day. When I got home, I was feeling tired but managed to prepare dinner for my daughters who were anxiously waiting for me. After dinner, when I returned to my room, the doorbell rang. The monitor showed her husband and a woman behind him who was probably having an affair. I invited them in and they entered.
I am deeply sorry for what happened. An apology may not be enough, considering I knew your family and allowed this to happen.
How can you do that when you know better? So, are you going to be parents? Don't make fun of me. My anger exploded, and the person I was having an affair with made a superficial apology. When my husband saw this, he was furious with me.
She's pregnant, okay? Given her experience as a mother, couldn't you just been nicer? You've always lacked empathy.
Are you blaming me? If you hadn't cheated, we wouldn't be in this mess. He glared at me while holding the other woman's hand.
Okay, let's settle this with a divorce. I need to stand by her.
Oh no. I can't believe what I've done.
No, it's not you, Nicole. It's me. I'm the one who fell in love with you and started this chain of events.
Their melodramatic attempts to play out tragedy left me feeling deeply disillusioned. I was completely turned off by the sight of them. Okay. I agree to the divorce. I will take custody of the children. Please wait as I will contact you regarding alimony and child support. I will discuss the details later. Please be sure to come by yourself at that time.
So, we're going to live here and you're going to leave, right?
No, my parents built this house as a gift to me. This is the house my parents gave to me when I got married. Of course, it's in my name. So, I'll keep it. She looked surprised for a moment, but then understood and backed off. My husband then left, withholding Nicole's hand. I sighed when I saw they're leaving. Finally, it's done. Then, my daughters come into a living room. They must have been listening to us. So I told my daughters about what's going on. I think you heard. I'm sorry you had to know. Your father made the decision on his own to leave us. I didn't want to talk about this, but I'm sure you guys heard what I said, and you can decide which way you want to go. It's not for me to say. Then they started to saying these.
Mom, we want to be with you, but is it not in your hands?
Then, displaying an unexpected strategy, they huddled together, whispering plans and possible outcomes. Jessica took the lead and announced the collective decision with a confidence belying her age.
I think we should go with my dad, at least for the time being. He probably believes he can be happy without us. We need to prove him wrong.
Her smile both uplifted and horrified her, proving the lengths they would go to support her mother and hold her father accountable. At that moment, I felt a surge of pride and solidarity with his daughters. Their decision to engage in this calculated act of defiance was not simply to make a statement to her father. It was about them regaining their independence in the midst of family turmoil. A few days later, when Michael returned to discuss a financial settlement, he encountered a scene he was not expecting. He is visibly upset when Emily and Sarah present a united front with their suitcases in hand. I think he was worried that they're going to follow him.
We're going with Dad.
What? What do you mean?
My husband is surprised. Well, that makes sense. He must have thought of various plans assuming they would go with me, but never thought that the kids would want to go with him instead.
There's no point in you following me, right? Mom earns more money, and even if you come with me, we can't afford luxuries, right?
We don't want luxuries. We want to be with Dad.
Well, but...
You don't need to worry about money, I'll get my allowance from Mom.
But I'm busy with work, and sometimes I come home late. Then you'll have to be with the new mom, right?
We have to get along, don't we? So, it can't be helped. We'll get along.
No matter how much my husband says, the kids don't budge. In the end, my husband couldn't refuse the kids.
Alright, fine, then. Can you pay child support?
What are you saying? You're the one at fault, so you have no obligation to pay me. With just those words, the kids left home with my husband. Then our divorce was finalized. I received $30,000 from my husband and $20,000 in compensation from his affair partner. And with the permission of our parents, we sold the house we lived in. With the compensation from my husband and the money from selling the house, I bought a condo and moved in. I made sure each of my daughters would have their own room even if they came back. My daughters live at my place on weekends and at their father's place on weekdays. I think their father's place is a cramped big apartment where his affair partner used to live. But this is also part of the plan. When they come home on weekends, my daughters always say,
This home is relaxing. Seriously, that house is small, stuffy, and the worst.
Seeing my daughters encouraging each other to endure a little more, I feel truly sorry. Several months have passed since then. Continuing this life, my husband and his affair partner came to my condo.
Punish these selfish daughters.
Please don't call our daughters selfish.
You say that because you don't really understand the situation.
Michael said the girls constantly criticized his new partner's cooking, and she always left her lunch, even though he requested homemade lunch. When she doesn't get her way, she starts screaming, "Dad!" It hurts. With a voice that resonates in the neighborhood.
And nothing was said about tuition fees.
Your daughters are legally your responsibility, isn't it?
My house is too small, especially for them. It's not fair to them.
In fact, this small living space can barely accommodate her 5 adult-sized children, even if the youngest is in middle school. It was clear that the situation was untenable.
Their voice were so loud that it became a topic of conversation in the neighborhood, and my landlord even asked me to move out.
Michael begged, his voice hoarse from stress.
Please, take them home.
His plea sounded like a plea to do whatever it takes to resolve the situation. But I was unfazed. They're your children too. They want to live with you. So there's nothing I can do. You have to respect their wishes.
You're the worst. You're like the devil.
My anger flared in response. Like the devil? Don't be silly. People who gave birth to children elsewhere often say things like that.
That's in the past. We're divorced and we're paying alimony, so let's never bring it up again. I just want them back.
Michael claimed his voice was a mixture of frustration and desperation. Despite everything, I took pity on their situation and agreed to take the girls back. But I expect adequate child support, $5,000 per month per child until they reach adulthood.
That's impossible.
Michael protested, the tension evident in his voice.
We can't afford that. It would destroy us.
That's not my problem. Do you want to break up our family and live in luxury now? The world doesn't work that way. If you can't pay, keep the girls. And my daughters came out of my house and turned to my husband's.
Dad, you always only think about yourself. I feel sorry for your unborn baby.
One daughter was clearly disappointed, she said.
We all have mother. That children will have father who betray their families and mother who destroy other people's families. I feel sorry for them.
The other added, their gaze filled with contempt and disappointment. Then Nicole suddenly stood up and said,
To be honest, the details of the child mean nothing to me.
Nicole began speaking in a cold tone.
Despite your already dire savings situation, you are now facing alimony and child support payments, pushing you further into financial ruin. It's ridiculous.
Her voice was laced with contempt and calculation. Michael barely started speaking, trying to inject a message of unity and hope.
Indeed, our progress requires mutual support.
Before Nicole's sharp argument ruins his attempt.
Don't make me laugh. I thought you were a wealthy man with a fancy house to match. I faked a pregnancy to secure my marriage to you. Sometimes,
she admitted. Her confession was thrown like a bomb, freezing the whole venue.
Lies? What do you mean?
She demanded, her voice a mix of confusion and anger. Nicole then reveals everything, and it becomes clear that her calculations were based on Michael's promising position at the company and his recent promotion, which she thought would guarantee a stable future. As the affair becomes public and the financial crisis of alimony and child support looms, Nicole despises Michael, believing that without his wealth he is worthless.
Even a person as talented as you is useless without money,
she declared and left as fast as she could. But Michael, who missed her elevator and was crying, turned her around and ran towards her. Still, he turned to his family and approached them, offering an apology out of his deep remorse.
I deeply apologize. I hope this nightmare ends. My love for you remains the same. Let's find happiness together.
He begged in a deep voice filled with emotion. Michael tries to make up, but I'm cruel and my anger threatens to explode, but my daughter's intervention stops me.
You have lost the right to be called father. Custody has been given to our mother. I refuse to coexist with strangers,
she said firmly, pushing Michael out of the way and closing the door behind her. Subsequently, attempts at reconciliation were ignored, a divorce was finalized, and relations were completely severed. The company's cheating scandal had serious repercussions, with Nicole being fired for misconduct and eventually Michael being fired for bad influence and continued absenteeism. While me and my daughters begin a new life filled with love and laughter in our apartment, Michael is relegated to menial jobs and his financial woes deepen. The eldest daughter's relationship added to their joy and symbolized a new beginning and the lasting strength of family ties. My second and third daughters may also leave the nest, but until then I will take responsibility in raising them.